So today I got something really cool to look at. I got something, the fine folks at AIYIMA reached out and asked me if I wanted to check out their new T20 and A20 amplifier preamp combo. And I said, absolutely, it looks like really cool products. I really thought that the folks on this channel would be interested in checking it out. It really looked like a cool product. So I wanted to show you guys what that looked like. So today's new amplifier day. What a time to be alive. The fine folks at AIYIMA reached out to me and said, would I like to check out some of their newest products? And I said, sure. And so I thought, and obviously, you know, AIYIMA, their bread and butter is Class D amps, smaller equipment, Class D amps, and they've been around for quite a while. Looks like right there on the box, 10 years. So they've been doing this a while, and I'm here to show you some of their newest stuff. When they reached out, I was actually quite excited. I haven't reviewed like a Class D amp in a while. I guess I did a Fuzzy Audio amp pretty recently, but I think this takes it up to the next level. This looked really cool. When they asked me if I wanted to check it out, I was like, definitely want to check it out. So, okay. Okay. So just like a little bit of, contact information, I guess warranty stuff. Okay, so this is the T20. I think this is the preamp model. It is a tube preamp, and here it comes. We got looks like it comes with a remote. Looks like there's LEDs for the front for volume, I'm assuming. Okay, and they give you some tech specs here. Pretty cool. Let's check that out. Since it's a preamp, you really don't need a stout AC adapter or anything. This looks perfectly fine. Cool. You got a very basic remote here. I guess it's just volume, mode, and I guess a D-pad here and a mute button. Pretty simple. I'm assuming these should be the tubes. We'll pull those out in a sec. Okay, let's see what that's about it. Pretty heavy for something that's just a tube, a preamp. Definitely can feel like quality construction. Cool thing about this is that this is a fully balanced. It says fully balanced inputs and outputs, and obviously you have RCA as well, which is cool. So you got I don't know if it allows you to have two inputs, like one RCA, one XLR, and one RCA. I'm not sure. I will find out, and we'll talk about that later in the video. Oh, it looks like you have some triggers. Cool. Amp trigger and a DAC trigger. That's cool. Obviously the AC, the DC in. Here's the volume knob. It's like stepped. I don't know if you hear some clicking there. Well, that's kind of cool. It's probably a digital thing. Doesn't appear to have an end, so it's probably some kind of digital volume control. That's why I guess that is the infrared sensor for the remote, I suppose. And this, I'm assuming that's the volume. We'll confirm that later. Let's check out these tubes and install them while I got you guys on the camera here. Can't wait. I'm actually thinking I'm gonna set this up in this room, I think, and have them with because this is sort of like my hi-fi room, my audio, quote-unquote audiophile room. This is where I kind of do most of my critical listening, you could say. There you go. Just go right in there. That's one. And it's pretty simple. It's there's a C pattern there, almost like a horseshoe, and you just match it with the little holes here and push down. It's that simple. There we go. All right. Okay, so the preamp is done, which is cool. I mean, what a cool way. So let's see what the other box is, and obviously it's pretty safe to say that it's an amplifier. What a cool way to have some separates. This is the perfect way to get into separates. The most cost-effective way that I can think of. I think that you can get both of these for $320. You wait for a sale, who knows? And Okay, so let's see more of the same information there. Another manual. Oh, you got rated outputs there. The output, it depends on the AC adapter, which I'll see which is the one they included here. I'm assuming it came with, well, I'll have to double check. I'd be just be guessing here. It kind of gives you a highlight of everything that's in the back there and in the front, but let's just check it out. And then I guess this must be the trigger cable. Cool, I think. Even though it looks like a stereo one, I've never seen one like that, but let's give it. Okay, let's see what kind of adapter they included, and that'll tell me what kind of power we're gonna be getting. Okay, this is a 48 volt. 48 volt at 5 amps. Okay, so let's see if we look here at the manual. So if we're getting 48 at 5 amps, that's 120 watts times 2 at 4 ohms. I'll probably put the 8 ohm rating on the screen now. I know you obviously you're not going to get 120. I'm assuming maybe 60, 70, 80 watts per channel at 8 ohms. But again, I'll confirm that. But yeah, not bad, you know. Not bad. Okay, let's check out the amp itself. One thing I noticed about it, the second I picked up this, the box, it did feel quite heavy. Like it has some decent weight to it. And you know, definitely some good quality construction. Same goes with the preamp here. Certainly, definitely all metal construction. I don't know if you can hear that. It's like it's also step, but it's not as small. I'd probably just set this to 12 o'clock or something right in the middle, because presumably you're gonna just be doing all the, you're gonna use your preamp here to do all of your volume control. Since you have the remote and all that, it just makes it more convenient. Okay, so it looks like you have, if I can see, so you have a toggle here for RCA or XLR. That's kind of cool. I love it when amps. I love this kind of toggle. It's so old. It just feels. Love that tactile feedback that you get from that. Always fun. Same goes for this. I guess this is high pass filter. I'm assuming this is if you're going to use a sub. So if you set it to on, or no, actually no. Wait, I'm gonna have to check that. I don't know exactly. This isn't really labeled, because you can set it to high pass filter, on or off. I don't know what on means. But it was set to off, I'll leave it there. I'm assuming that's full range. And here we get our binding posts here. Looks like 5-way, pretty beefy ones, big ones here. Looks like you can probably get some 12 gauge cable. Let's see how big the hole is in the back. Yeah, maybe 12 gauge. Probably safer with 14, but I think you could probably fit 12 gauge if you don't want to go through banana plugs or something. Probably do some spade plugs as well, that kind of thing. But this is gonna be great. Can't wait to love messing with this stuff. I guess that's an RCA boost. You can add 3 dB boost maybe. Ooh, love that. There's a little sub out, pre out there. Cool. I'll probably try that out. There's the 12 volt trigger here. Is that the crossover? That's cool. Yeah, I guess this is a crossover. Wow, you can set it up to is that 300 hertz or 200? I'm not sure, I can't see it too well. Maybe it's 200. So yeah, you can base manage your sub here. Really nice. That's cool. You can set it, I'd probably set it to about 80. I love how, you can just match it right there with the 80 right there. There's 120. You'd really have to have some really anemic speakers to wanna, set it to 120. If you have some half decent, I'm probably not gonna mess with the high pass filter. So anyway, these are RCA inputs. Cool. And then you have XLRs, audio in, very clear there. But definitely some good weight to this. I love the nice solid metal construction. You can probably just you know, set one right on top of the other and have a really cool looking, you know, little kit there, you know, or, you know, even cooler, I think maybe set them side by side, maybe right there. I don't know. I'll show you. I'll have to do a better view of that a little later, but there you go. Man, I love this kind of stuff. Can't wait to take this for a test drive. So I'm gonna get these installed and I'll come back when they're fully installed and I'll give you my final thoughts and tell you what I think about them. So just to give you a bit of a background of what kind of system I'm running right now, so you know, like what I'd kind of be comparing it with. I have a vintage Macintosh stereo here. You know, plenty of power, old school muscle, you know, you could say. This is from like the, I think the tuner here, Macintosh tuners like from the early 70s, I'm gonna say, maybe even late 60s. It's a tube tuner and it's that. I think the preamp is from the mid 70s. Same goes for the amplifier down there. I mean, that thing is a monster. That thing is awesome. I also have a traditional home theater setup in here that is an Onkyo RZ830, and I have an Outlaw amp connected to it, which is kind of cool, using the preamps from the receiver, obviously. And I have my golden ear set up in here. So I'll be connecting the AIYIMA down there. I'll probably just set it up on the table, take the center channel out just to test it out. I think it'll look nice. And I'm gonna hook it up to my EVERSOLO. So I'm gonna run the EVERSOLO. I think I'm gonna try using I think it does have XLRs. I think the EVERSOLO does have XLRs. So I'm gonna try doing that and run it to run the XLRs to the AIYIMA and see how it sounds, and you know, connect them to the golden ears over there, right there. So should be cool. Nice little experiment to see, you know, can this work? Is this good enough? This is all you, maybe for your first setup, first separate setup. Is it good enough? Let's check it out. I just set up the A20 and the T20 here, preamp and amplifier, and I used XLR interconnects from my EVERSOLO into the T20 and then out to the amplifier. So I'm using full XLRs. If you have access to XLRs, I suggest use them. I wouldn't like go as far as to say that I would hear some kind of quality improvement when going from RCA to XLR. I think the biggest benefit, you know, a lot of people are going to tell you that XLR sound better and they can hear a difference. I don't have the hearing acuity to tell you that for sure, but I can tell you that one thing that I noticed with XLRs, they're much more secure and you know, easy to live with interconnect. If you have access, if you have equipment that can take XLRs, just go for it. It's better. Just, you know, it's a lot harder to you know, accidentally disconnect an XLR than an RCA. I just connected RCAs from the EVERSOLO to the preamp here, and it's like I can just tug on it a little bit and it'll come loose like very, very easily. But with these XLRs, I can just move it like crazy. It's not going to go anywhere. So definitely a benefit to use XLRs if you have them. So I took these guys for a spin, and I gotta say that for this room, which is about, I'm gonna say 14 or 15 feet wide by like 19 feet deep, more than enough volume out of my Triton 2s here. Again, these aren't the most inefficient. They're not inefficient. They're like 90 to 91 decibels of efficiency, so they're not inefficient. If you have a relatively efficient pair of speakers, you're going to be just fine, even in a larger room. I noticed I had to set the volume knob here to about maybe like 2 o'clock there on the amplifier to kind of get the volume. Again, you could probably get away with just leaving it at 12 o'clock if you want. And I have the EVERSOLO set to max there, and I would probably need to get this guy to about 65, 66. Let's just play it for a second. Yeah. I feel like I had to set it to about 2 o'clock. Again, this is the they sent me the A20 with the, I believe it was 5 amps times 48 volt. So it gives me about I'm gonna say 67, maybe 60 watts per channel at 8 ohms. I'll put the correct watts per channel and 8 ohms. I know it's 120 for 4 ohms. I think these are 8 ohm speakers, so they're probably gonna pull a good 60. So if you're not, you know, depending on how much volume you need, this might be adequate and enough, but you can always upgrade the power supply and get more power out of this thing, which is plus, so there's an upgrade path. I think if I was going to keep this equipment in here, I would absolutely, you know, I'd be fine with the stock power supply. But again, you always have that option. I think later on I'm going to try out the high pass filter here and I have a smaller pair of speakers that I'm going to connect to these guys, and I'm going to use my little 3000 micro there, SVS, and see how it works with you know, like kind of like a subwoofer setup here. Obviously these towers don't need a sub. They're perfectly, I would call these speakers definitely their full range, so no need for a sub. Okay, so as you can see, I brought in a little pair of bookshelf speakers. These are like some old definitive technology speakers that I have that are they're like big satellite speakers, probably low bookshelf speakers, but although they do have a 5 1/4 inch driver and actually a passive radiator on the top here. They're definitely not bassy speakers, but they, you know, theoretically you could probably get away without a sub if you're not too much of a bass head, but connecting the sub totally woke this little mini system up. I can imagine that a lot of people that are going to be getting into like maybe their first separate system, they want to get something relatively small, something not necessarily for a big space. This could be a really good option. Just, you know, get a couple of bookshelf speakers, get this wonderful AIYIMA T20 and A20 combo, and get a little sub. I can highly recommend, if you want something that kind of hides in your room, this SVS Micro 3000 is fantastic. More than enough bass for this room. Yeah, it's really good. Plays to about 23, 24 hertz or so, give or take. So it's not bad. A couple of thoughts on this setup. This is one of the coolest things that I think I've ever reviewed on the channel. A little mini, like, separate system. I am just a sucker for this kind of thing. I personally, I like things like miniaturization stuff. I like when things are miniaturized. It's like catnip for me. I love small equipment. I love equipment that like punches above its weight, you could say. And I think this stuff is fantastic. Sounds really good, especially using the balanced cables. I don't know if it's necessarily making a big difference, but man, it looks cool using those big interconnects in the back here. It makes it feel that it means business, you know. Obviously with the banana plugs here, that, you know, adds a little something. The amp is more than stout enough. Again, you can, like I mentioned earlier, you can totally upgrade the power supply and get a little more power out of it. That's fine. It's totally up to you. And, you know, maybe if you buy this thing, see if it's enough volume for you. For me, I think it was enough. I'm not like totally blasting the volume. I think when I tried to push the amp to about here, about maybe like 3 o'clock or so, I did feel like it eventually started being fatiguing. So I kind of kept it at about 1:30 to 2, and I felt that was perfect. Perfect, like enough volume yet, but sounded really good. Same goes for the, I like the, you know, the like digital volume here. I think it's really cool, really, really cool with the LED lights. I like what they did there. You do have the option on the remote. There's a little light bulb in the remote. If you hit on the light bulb button, the lights turn off, but obviously the music's still playing and all that. And I guess if the second you hit the volume button, it comes back. But again, you can make the LEDs disappear if you want, which I think is kind of cool. This is a very simple system. You have balanced inputs and like RCA inputs. You could connect a turntable, but you're gonna need a Phono preamp. You're gonna need a turntable with a Phono preamp built into it, or you're gonna have to buy a separate Phono preamp to connect to this guy. and use it that way. Obviously, you know, there's the limitation, I guess, given the size and the fact that they went with the, you know, the balanced XLR interconnects. It does take up a little bit of real estate in the back if, you know, having these big connectors, but I think it's worth it. And I think if you can get by with 2 inputs, it's fine. If you want to have like the ultimate setup, get yourself like an EVERSOLO like this guy here. Fantastic DAC. It'll elevate, this alone will elevate your experience to almost as good as it can be. Obviously there are better DACs out there, but this one is like, this is like the sweet spot right here. The DMP A6 is fantastic. So get yourself a DAC like this one, or a WIM or whatever, one of those WIM amps, hook that up to here, maybe get yourself like a turntable with a Phono preamp built into it, or a separate Phono preamp, connect this guy and you've got a killer setup. Not only does it sound good, it actually looks really cool. And you can also, you know, I'll show you in a sec, you can also stack these guys up, which is kind of cool. All metal construction, and as you can see, there are vent holes on the side. So even if you did decide to stack the T20 on the A20, it's fine. It's not like you're blocking any vents here on the top here. Again, super simple toggle to switch from RCA to XLR. Obviously, I have XLRs connected here right now. Which, you know, if you have the ability to connect XLRs, I would just totally do it. Just given the, you know, it is theoretically the better sounding interconnect. So if you can do it, I would do it. Whether you're going to hear the difference or not is totally up to your ears, and whether you know, your perception of whatever your setup, maybe your speakers. Personally, I can't, you know, and it's not just because of these. It's not just with this AIYIMA setup. I don't think I could hear the difference on anything that I've ever owned. I actually have, in my home theater, I use XLRs as well, and I did it mostly because I was tired of like having to go in and like finding a loose, somebody was messing around with the cables in the back, and I would occasionally find a loose RCA cable. The second I went to XLRs, that stopped happening. Okay, so this is what it looks like if you stack them up. Personally, I like the side-by-side look. It makes it look a little more, you could say a little more imposing, a little bigger. This is a little more compact of a setup. Does look cool as well, but I kind of prefer how it looks side by side, but you know, you guys be the judge on your own. I did notice that, you know, after I hit there you go. After I hit the light bulb button, it came back. I'm not sure what the D-pad is used for. I haven't figured that out quite yet, but again, very simple remote, just volume control and mode. If you switch the mode, that switches between RCA and XLR. Blue is XLR and red is RCA. I already tested that out, that's what it is. Another cool thing about this is, I'm gonna turn it off. Since I used the trigger cable that it came with, it automatically turned off the amplifier, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on again. And it's gonna actually have a countdown. You're gonna need, it's kind of giving you a countdown before it's actually gonna turn on the amp. You'll see that it will turn on the amp. It is to warm up the tubes, because this is a tube-powered preamp, which I think makes more sense to have like there you go. It turned right on. The second the countdown ended, the amplifier turned on. It honestly works flawlessly. I'm very impressed with this setup. And it makes a lot more sense to have tubes in the preamp, because tube amps, not only they're like basically like space heaters, they're very, they produce a lot of heat, and you know, they're low on power. You know, a lot of people say that they sound really good. There are other tube amplifier purists out there. I'm not one of them. I'm more of a solid state guy. I've accepted the fact that solid state is, in my opinion, superior pretty much in every way. I forgot to say that the trigger cable that is the trigger in to the amplifier, and this is the trigger out right here from the T20, and that's what turns on and off the amplifier here. Makes it incredibly good. You don't have to like hit on and come up here and like hit the switch every time. It'll just turn on by itself, which is what you want. Again, I want to thank AIYIMA for giving me the opportunity to check out the A20 and the T20. I think they're great products. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll leave links to the products in the description. If you're, I get a very small portion of every sale, so it really helps a lot if you click on those. And I'll see you in the next one.